You know your teenager needs a better ACT score, and you've been telling them for months that it's time to get serious about studying, but they don't take it as seriously as you want them to, and it seems like you care more about their future than they do. I've coached thousands of students through the ACT, and none of them were thrilled about doing their ACT prep. But there are two things you can do to get your teenager to prep for the ACT and get a better score anyways. You probably think your teenager's lazy, but they just don't have a reason to care, and they don't have a process that's easy enough for them to stick with it consistently. When I give students both of these two pieces, it flips everything. So rather than defaulting to procrastination and scrolling on TikTok, their default mode is to study. So the first thing you need to do is find your kid's reason to care about the ACT. And now you're probably gonna think, there's absolutely no way that I can get my son to care about the ACT. I've literally tried everything and it just hasn't worked. But that's not actually true. You've talked about college options. You've talked generally about their future, but that doesn't work for them because those aren't things that they care about. That's what you care about. Every teenager wants something. They want freedom. They want options. They want to look up to someone. They want to do something cool with their life. Your job isn't to invent their motivation. It's to help them connect the dots between what they already want and what the ACT can unlock for them. For example, there was a student named Spencer. He had no motivation on the ACT. He really didn't have any motivation to get into a good college.
I didn't really care too much about like college. I always thought, I'll get into wherever. It's just been a piece of paper to me.
And that's what a lot of students think. They think that getting a college degree is just a piece of paper that's going to hang on the wall behind them, and they don't really see the value in it. But there was one thing that ended up changing the entire perspective for Spencer, and it ended up giving him the motivation to study for 60 or 70 hours for the ACT when that was absolutely not in the picture before we talked about this.
I found out last week that I want to go to the United States Coast Guard Academy.
Spencer had always kind of wanted to go into some sort of law enforcement or service for the country. When he met one of his dad's best friends, who was an FBI agent, he got to shadow him a little bit. The dad's friend got to take Spencer around, his office and everything like that. And he got to show him what being, some cool FBI agent was like. And Spencer immediately fell in love with that entire career path. Now, the first thing that Spencer did was ask his dad's friend, like, hey, what can I do to make this path as easy as possible for me to go from where I am right now to becoming an FBI agent? And his dad's friend gave him the advice, and I had no idea about any of this. But apparently if you go to one of the service academies and you get a degree from there, then it becomes a lot easier to go down that path of becoming an FBI agent. So Spencer did some of his own research and found that he now really wanted to go to the Coast Guard Academy because he found that there was a path for him to go from where he is now to Coast Guard Academy to becoming an FBI agent. Because Spencer had never really cared much about college up until this point, he had not done any ACT studying. And the first time he took the test, he was at a 25. And now he knew, because he could look at the numbers, that with a 25 on the ACT, he was not very likely to get into the Coast Guard Academy. So he knew that his big bottleneck that was stopping him from getting into Coast Guard Academy and ultimately becoming an FBI agent was his ACT score. Fortunately, he had pretty good high school grades and everything like that, and he had a lot of good extracurriculars just because he had naturally built up those things without really having the purpose there of getting into good colleges, but he had just already had that stuff in place. So the one big thing that was stopping him was having a 25 on the ACT. We were able to use that motivation for him of, hey, we're right here at a 25 right now. We need to get up to something like a 30 or maybe like 29 or 30 in order to give ourselves a really good chance at getting into Coast Guard so that we can ultimately become an FBI agent. And we were able to help him connect those dots, which he had already started putting in place. So when we put together Spencer's ACT roadmap, we were able to really load him up with a decent bit of ACT work. And he was working, a little bit over an hour per day for 5 or 6 weeks, heading directly into the first test that he took with us. And we had actually planned to take 2 different tests, but on that very first test, he ended up going from 25 up to 30 because of the intensive work that he was able to put in, studying for and preparing for that first ACT with us. And we were able to take that momentum that he had going from 25 up to 30 and roll that directly into the next test that he took with us. I think we spent another 4 weeks or so working at, still a pretty intense pace, not because we recommended it, but because Spencer was just like, he was on a roll at this point, and he knew that, the higher the score for him, the better odds he was going to have of becoming an FBI agent. And, in the next 4 weeks, he was able to improve from that 30 up to a 32. So an overall improvement of 25 past his goal of a 30 and ending up with a 32, strictly because of the motivation that he was able to find and that we were able to tap into. We didn't create that motivation for him. That motivation was already there. We just had to help him connect the dots between doing well on the ACT and putting in the time and effort studying for the ACT to what he really wanted, which was becoming an FBI agent. He didn't, want a good ACT score. He wanted to become an FBI agent, but because those two became synonymous for him, it made it a lot easier for him to put in the time and effort studying for the ACT. Now you might be thinking, that's great for Spencer. He had that motivation. It's pretty easy to connect the dots there, but it's not going to work for my student. I don't really know what my teenager wants, but the key takeaway for you is that every teenager wants something, and the ACT is a lever for almost anything. The ACT is incredibly important, and if you can just connect the dots for them, that the ACT is a pathway for them to do whatever it is that their motivation is. If you can find that motivation, then you can easily connect the dots for them. Now, the other big takeaway here is that you can't force the idea onto them. Spencer's dad didn't force Spencer to be interested in, becoming an FBI agent. That was something that Spencer already inherently wanted to do. And Spencer's dad was able to help him tap into that motivation by, setting him up on a meeting with, a tour of whatever the office was where his dad's friend worked. So really, it all comes down to finding what your teenager's motivation is and then just connecting the dots for them. And now once you do this, you might run off and think that you're just good to go because you've tapped into your teenager's motivation, but that's not all that you need. The second piece of the puzzle is just as important as that first one. And the second piece here is removing the friction. For example, there was a student named Liv, and Liv was a student who was already highly motivated to study for and get a better ACT score. She knew that she wasn't going to be able to attend some of the schools that she really wanted to go to if she wasn't able to earn some significant scholarships. She and her mom had already talked about what they were going to do, and they weren't going to be able to afford some of these crazy tuition prices that private schools and out-of-state schools can charge you. A lot of these schools run $200,000 over the course of the 4 years, and they just knew that they weren't going to be able to do that. But Liv did know that she wanted to go to a really great out-of-state school. She wanted to go to Franklin and Marshall. They had a great program that she was very excited about, and she had already connected the dots between getting a better ACT score, getting the scholarships that she could earn at Franklin and Marshall, and knowing that she needed a better ACT score to do all that stuff. So Liv knew that the ACT was the big bottleneck preventing her from the goals that she wanted to get to. And the problem with her was that she was an incredibly busy student. All throughout her junior year, she just didn't have any time left over at the end of her day to study for the ACT and put in the time that was necessary for her to move from 26 up to 30. She was a student who did very well in high school. She studied really hard, but she was also taking a lot of AP classes, which took up a lot of her study time. And she was also in the marching band, which I didn't know this until I was able to work with her, but apparently they spend like 25 or 30 hours a week on the low end, doing marching band practice and performances and all of that stuff. So with all of her classwork and this marching band commitment that she wasn't willing to compromise, she thought that she just didn't have any time to study for and get a better ACT score. So that was what was holding her back. She had the motivation, but she didn't have the time, or she didn't think that she had the time in order to do well. So she spent the entirety of her junior year just taking the ACT again and again, but not really spending a lot of time studying for and trying to improve her strategies and her content knowledge and everything to actually get a better score. And obviously, that didn't work. Her score stayed at that 26. But then she actually came across one of my Instagram videos where I was talking about a student who was able to, work around his vacation schedule and just do little tiny bits of work throughout the day and fit it around his busy schedule. And so she decided to reach out to me and ask about, hey, how can I work around this 30 hours a week that I'm putting into marching band and my AP exams? And so what we did with her was we found that there was like a 30 or 45-minute window after school every day before marching band started where she could sit down in the study hall area at her school and just work on a little bit of ACT work, do a couple worksheets, maybe watch a couple quick videos, communicate back and forth with her coach asynchronously. And she was able to fit a little bit of work every single day into that little window. And then by the time she got home from her marching band practice later that day, she was able to get some feedback on some of her worksheets that she worked on from her coach and, take that feedback and maybe spend 15 or 20 minutes absorbing that and correcting whatever mistakes she was making on that practice earlier that day. And because this was a much more flexible type of schedule for her, she was able to, take those small little bits of work, and all of those small bits of work add up. After about 4 weeks, she was actually doing about an hour per day. Once you added up the 30 or 45 minutes after school with the 15 or 20 minutes, later that night after marching band practice, she did about 4 weeks of an hour per day of work, and that adds up. And that was able to actually take her in just 4 weeks from a 26 on the ACT up to a 30 on the ACT. And so if you look back, she basically spent an entire year thinking that she wasn't able to study for the ACT in any rigorous manner. But then, once she was able to, remove the friction points between her and the work itself, that was when in just 4 weeks, she was able to add 4 points and go from 26 up to 30 on the ACT. And now that actually ended up earning her $140,000 in scholarships at Franklin and Marshall. And that completely changed the trajectory of her college application process. With the 26, she almost certainly would have earned, little to no scholarships there. But, just with that 4 weeks of working about an hour per day, flexibly in her schedule, she was able to earn herself $140,000 and save a huge amount off the cost of college. So a couple key takeaways that you can learn from Liv's situation. First, even motivated students will fail when there's too much friction between them and the work itself. Just like Liv, she just didn't think that there was enough time in the day to actually get her work done because everything that she had experienced with ACT prep was kind of these rigid, structured systems that didn't allow for any flexibility. Either meeting with a class at 7 p.m. on a Thursday or 3 p.m. on a Saturday, and she just couldn't fit into a rigid structured system that didn't allow for the wiggle room of, hey, I can only work between 3:30 in the afternoon and 4:15 in the afternoon. So you need to remove that friction if you're going to make it as easy as possible for the student to actually do the work that's necessary to improve on the ACT. And so that leads into the second thing, which is you need to create a system that works for your teenager. And every single teenager is different. There's no two situations that are exactly the same. And so you can't just cram your student into a cookie cutter class or a cookie cutter ACT preparation program that doesn't allow for flexibility and isn't tailored towards their situation, their schedule, the schools that they're applying to, whether or not you can use super scoring or not super scoring. There are a million different factors that need to be tailored to. And if you're just in kind of a generic situation, then there's going to be a lot of friction between your student and the work that needs to get done. And that's going to make it a lot more difficult for that work to get done. And for a student like Liv, when there was that much friction between her and the work that needed to get done, it just didn't get done. But then as soon as you remove that friction, the work becomes automatic and the score improvement happens pretty much naturally. So overall here, if you look at these two cases, Spencer didn't get up to a 32 because his dad nagged him harder about studying. Liv didn't get to a 30 because she somehow found more time in the day. Spencer got there because we helped him connect the test to something that he actually wanted. And Liv got there because we built a system that fit into the cracks of her life. Motivation gives them the reason, and the system removes the excuses. When you stack these two things together, your teenager studies because they want to, and you finally get to stop being the homework police. Now, if you want us to take all of this off of your hands for your teenager, click the first link in the description down below for information about our ACT coaching program. And if you want a full guide on the 5 lessons that I've learned from helping 283 students score above a 30 on the ACT, click right here.